Because you seems to have a standard on who's the author of the Bible, by your own standard, did you apply it also for Quran? Question mark. Who wrote the Quran then? Question mark. Alright, so this is a question directed directly towards me with regard to what I have stated earlier when I asked about the authors of the Bible, and he come up with this question, and we'll go through this thread inshallah. And then, seriously, you doubt the reliability of the Bible? Question mark, question mark, question mark. How you know Jesus spoke Aramaic? Question mark. How you know anything about Jesus? Question mark. Not a single scholar doubt the reliability, history of the Bible except your Quran. Alright, so this is the two comments that I want to start with, and then my reply, and then his reply, etc. So we'll go through this. So here, question number one, whether I apply the same standard on the author of the Bible, I think. And number two, the issue of reliability of the Bible. So, of course, I only apply onto other religion and scripture what I have already applied to my religion and scripture. And then also about the Quran was revealed to Muhammad in the period of 23 years. So this is to answer who wrote the Quran. So I said the Quran was revealed to Muhammad in the period of 23 years. And this portion here is just me telling that whatever I apply to others is what I've already applied to the Quran, to Islam. It's not something that come out of nowhere that I haven't even applied to Islam, right? It's just me applying the same standard that I have used on evaluating my religion. And then I question the reliability of the Bible to know God or teaching from God. So the issue of reliability is in this context. How reliable the Bible is if it is to be considered as a source to know God and source to know the teaching of God. It is from that specific context. If you wish to bring the Bible as historical record, that is fine. Fine meaning that I don't care that much. We do depend on what is available to know history of something, right? So sometimes we are interested to know the history of the past of any different geographical group of people, etc., right? And we have to depend on whatever that is available. Fine, that's no problem really. But that is fundamentally different to say the Bible is reliable to know God, the hereafter, etc. So it's totally different. If you want to say, I'm looking at the Bible to see what happened in the past, what people do, etc. Fine, feel free, no problem. But if you bring the Bible to me and imply that to know God, this is the source. To know the hereafter, this is the source. Okay, I need to evaluate the reliability because this is about something that only the divine knows, only God knows, right? Any human being cannot just, I theorize like this and suddenly people have to follow, right? So that's why, is it reliable to know this kind of information? And then he commented, you didn't answer the question. Who wrote, who wrote the Quran? Who is the author? Give me your ancient source, just like you asked us Christian who wrote the Bible. And then, did you already compare the teaching of the God in the Bible versus Allah in the Quran? Question mark. And you believe the teaching of Allah is superior to God of Moses, when in fact Jesus lived a sinless life. So I'm not sure where he get this from. I'm assuming he assumed because I'm Muslim, so whatever that is. The perfect, I think it's not prefect, right? The perfect man ever exist compared to Muhammad, and you doubt Jesus' message? Question mark. So that's his further question. Okay. Oh, sorry, I thought your question is in the same context of the writers/authors of the Bible, which I mentioned when I asked, right? Because they actually authored what they wrote. To my knowledge, to my understanding, when the author of the Bible wrote, they actually authored whatever they want to write, right? Meaning they are the one that make the sentences, choose the words they want, etc., right? So that is the context. So in that sense, Allah authored the Quran when it was revealed. I should read, because the way I write is just line by line, right? So it's not continuation like this. In that sense, Allah authored the Quran, and when it was revealed, it was recited and memorized as the primary form, meaning that how it is being preserved primarily and implemented is when it is being conveyed, it is heard, it is recited, it is memorized, right? So but the author is Allah, meaning who choose those words, etc. If you are talking about who wrote it down into physical paper, so maybe this is what he is talking about. Writing down is not like who make the verses, etc. Who author. From my perspective, author means that. Okay, so write is just physically write. Author meaning that you author the thing from just your imagination or whatever. You author that phrase, sentence, paragraph, etc. Right? So in that context, that's why I want to understand who the authors of the Bible, because I understand when they are the authors, that's how the process is. But going to the Quran, the author is Allah, if that is the sense or angle that we are talking about, right? But if you are talking about not who authored it, but who write it down after it is being authored, memorized, recited, who wrote it down? Many companions wrote down Many companions wrote the verses down, including those formerly appointed to write or scribe down the verses from Revelation. Right, so people taking notes, etc., they actually have write it down, right? This goes on and forward to when the concept of how the written down or scribes spread to the people not originally speaking the language or dialect, comes the episode of the standardization of the writing down of the Quran, which finalized it in the time of Uthman. On your remark, just like you ask us who wrote the Bible, just to add in case the context is missing, my primary concern is the reliability of source I'm basing my decision on. For the Quran, given the fact that it is memorized fully by many prior to the standardization process, already render the possibility of anyone tampering with the Quran out of the window. And given the Quran claim to be directly from God, and the Quran till this day can be evaluated directly on the criteria it needed to satisfy its claim as revelation from God. Hence, I can go through the process of evaluation directly. So I intend to have the same standard on any claim, including on the Bible. To be fair, the Bible did not claim to be directly or direct revelation from God to the prophets. So it is not fair to have the same level of scrutiny that I have applied onto the Quran. Right, so yeah, if anyone complain that why do Muslims use the same standard to evaluate the Quran and Hadith onto the Bible, that's not fair, because the Bible do not even claim to be a source as high as Quran from that perspective, or even Hadith, right? But at least we can start here. What is the reason that I should take each authors of the many books of the Bible seriously when it is saying anything about God? So the authors of the Bible wrote something. I'm not concerned about what he wrote about the people are doing. I'm not concerned about what he wrote about what Jesus had done. My question is, if they touch upon God and related topic, why should I take what he wrote seriously? Who is he? Right? Did the author have direct access to God for them to be able to write it? Or they do not? They depend on the other sources when they write about God. And if this is the case, then I need to know the source and understand why it is trustworthy. My main search is to seek God, not history, not historical Jesus, not Muhammad, not Moses, not ancient history, etc. So that's to explain my motivation of evaluating all of this, right? I want to seek God, because some Christian keep getting back at me as, then how do you know Jesus? Why is that the starting point? Why do you want to find Jesus to begin with? And even if I ask back Christian, right, why? The answer would most probably be based on the conclusion that is already established before. For example, they already established that Jesus is God or whatever, hence they want to know God. But if you start with blank plate, nothing, right? If you atheists that have never heard of Christianity or etc., right? They when they want to find a religion, they might want to find God, but they do not want to find Jesus or Muhammad or etc., right? So okay, that I mentioned already, right? And then lastly, you asked about the teachings, because he said you compare the teaching of I think Moses, Muhammad or something, but I'm still stuck at the reliability of the Bible, because when you want to discuss the teaching as per described in the Bible, first settle the reliability issue of the Bible first, because if it's not reliable, why do I care what it tells in that I'm just like talking on behalf of myself and not other Muslim. Let's say I find a very beautiful teaching in the Vedas. Would that be a criteria of it being true? The source itself is not a reliable source to know what God teaches. Side note, okay, some typo there. Me as a Muslim believe in all prophet of God, and we strive to emulate each one of them, and we believe in all their teachings. This is valid for Noah, Solomon, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and all the rest. So me questioning the Bible is questioning its reliability on understanding Noah, Solomon, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, etc., and not questioning those prophets themselves. Right? So I hope you understand the difference between me scrutinizing the source of the story compared to scrutinizing the people in the story themselves. If some unreliable source tell me fake news about you, right? Meaning some fake news tell me something fake about you. When I question the fake news source, meaning I question, okay, what is this news agency? How we can believe them, etc. I'm questioning them. I'm not questioning you, right? Even though you are the subject of the story, but I'm questioning them whether the story that they told about you is valid or not, is reliable or not, right? So that's for this one. Yeah, that's all. Interesting for me. Interesting to see how people perceive, etc. So feel free to comment further, add anything that I missed, or you want to suggest something, feel free. Thank you for watching. See you next time.